Okay, 12:01. Here we go. Welcome to another session of 15 minutes of positivity, and it's Monday, so that means it's Mindfulness Monday. And I was thinking I'd keep it really straightforward and simple today. For those of you that are new to this, please know that we meet every day, Monday through Friday, literally 15 minutes, or now it's 12:01, so we got another 14 minutes to go. And the idea is pretty straightforward. We practice on a daily basis the foundational skills that have been shown to contribute to sustained well-being. So mindfulness, loving kindness, gratitude, forgiveness, curiosity, right? So these really fundamental human skills that um, ultimately, if we practice them, we get better and better at them, and they make us. It makes it easier for us to feel sustainably well. So that's the goal here, and we do it just for a few minutes a day. So it doesn't have to be this. You don't need to develop a 60-minute meditation practice in order to benefit from this. If anything, I'm trying to show here that as long as we do this consistently and we do it together, there's this generative multiplier effect that happens over time. So, okay, so one of my teachers and heroes, massively influential person in my life, is Tara Brach. She has a lot of online meditation classes, and I used to sit with her in person when she was out here in California. And she has this quote that I want to set the tone with today. Perhaps the biggest tragedy of our lives is that freedom is possible, yet we can pass our years trapped in the same old patterns. And in many ways, this is making the case for the whole concept here of this 15 minutes of positivity is this idea of self-directed positive neuroplasticity. In other words, if we can extricate ourselves from these so-called same old patterns, then we stand a chance to really um, gain some sense of agency and direct our lives in a direction of our choosing. So if we're tired of feeling anxious, we're tired of grappling with ruminating thoughts, well, at some point we can say, okay, well, let me start putting more time into compassion, kindness, love, mindfulness, attention training, forgiveness, all the stuff that we do here. And the more we do that, the more we can intentionally move ourselves in a direction that's just different than what life has a tendency to just dish out to us on a daily basis. So it's like we're recapturing our sense of agency and a little bit of control over where we want to go with our neuroplastic changes. And the theme for today is begin again. So one of the hardest things when we practice really foundational mindfulness, so I should define that. Mindfulness to me in this context is our ability to sit quietly and just wait, just be patient, and begin to notice that there's a constant stream of thoughts, visuals going through our mind, sensations in our body. Suddenly our nose begins to itch and we want to scratch it. And this is happening all the time, right? There are thousands and thousands of uh, um, inputs, be they mental, be they memories, be they emotional, sensory, and so forth, that are just inundating us all the time. And so mindfulness is this capacity to sit in the middle of that, this kind of chaotic stream of things coming our way, and to simply say, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to grasp or attach to any of the thoughts or the emotions or the itchy nose. I'm simply going to take a step back and watch. And what happens to us, it's just the nature of the mind, is that we get distracted, right? So we set this intention, say, I'm just going to sit back and watch. And before you know it, you thought of something and you're off you go. You start, engaging in it. And so this idea of beginning again means that when we notice that we have moved away from the original intention of simply watching our breath or simply watching, our thoughts, that we begin again and we just start from scratch and we say, okay, I lost my my concentration and my focus. But I'm going to begin again, and I'm just going to simply reactivate this ability to start over and to just be with whatever is. Sounds really simple, but it's obviously incredibly difficult to do, and it takes practice. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's start by closing our eyes. And as always, we start all of these meditations here with grounding. What I mean with grounding is becoming aware of the fact that our body is in contact with the ground in this present moment. So you can simply notice which parts of your body are in contact with the ground, probably your feet. Maybe you're sitting in a chair, so it's your lower back and your pelvis and your buttocks and your hamstrings. In my case, I'm also noticing my hands are indirectly in contact through my body with the chair. And then I also notice my breath. And breath is interesting because it happens in the present moment, meaning if you pay really close attention, you can feel what it's like in this moment to have a body that breathes. So begin by noticing breath entering and leaving your nostrils. A cool air entering your nostrils, warm air exiting. And you can follow that breath just a little bit further and notice what it feels like to have breath in your throat, coming and going. And then we can trace our breath even further. So begins in the nostrils, passes through our throat, and it makes a sound, and there's a sensation to that. And then we feel it in our lungs, in the top of our lungs. And notice your shoulders rising and falling, your upper ribs expanding and contracting. And then you can feel breath all the way down in your belly, past your solar plexus. And see if right now you can focus on the full round of breath. So noticing it begins with the cool air entering your nostrils, a sensation of breath passing through your throat into your upper chest, and then into your belly. And then at some point, the process reverses and your belly contracts, your chest contracts, your shoulders drop. Warm air passes through your throat and back out of your nostrils. And again, there's nothing to do other than to witness. You notice the body knows exactly how to breathe, can do it all on its own. We can just take a step back and watch. It's that full cycle of breath. I'm guessing what will happen to each and every one of us at some point is that while we think we're focusing on just witnessing our breath, Suddenly our mind thinks of something. There's pictures, little movies playing behind our eyelids. There's this sensory experience of that memory or that image, and we get attached. When that happens, it's okay. This is what the mind does. But the goal here is to simply notice that and then begin again to just focus on the sensation and the experience of breathing. The muscle that we're flexing here is letting go of our natural tendency to want to attach to thoughts and memories. Just drop back into the present moment by noticing our breath. Sounds really simple. It's actually quite difficult to do consistently. And just to be clear, the mind is not bad for wanting to distract us. It's just what the mind does. It's okay. And yet there's another part of us that can observe this tendency of our mind to want to attach to thoughts and memories. And we can have a choice. We can we can let go, just return back to the present moment. Notice the air in our nostrils and our throat, in our chest, in our belly. And just keep it really, really simple. And you can bring all of your senses to notice this experience of breath. So certainly the feeling of the cold air and the warm air, sound of breath passing through your nostrils and your throat, physical sensation of your belly expanding and contracting and your chest. As the mind wanders, you can simply thank the mind for doing what it does. Just gently return back to, yeah, just allowing breath to happen and just bearing witness. And then go ahead and take a really deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep inhale through your nose. Long exhale through the mouth. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and open your eyes. Come on back to the session. Yeah, and just notice if or how your body feels different right now. Um, yeah, hopefully this was a good mini reset. We just did about 9 minutes of actual mindfulness meditation. Hope to see you tomorrow at noon. I'll stick around for a few more minutes if anyone wants to connect. Take care, everyone.